All right, so today we are going to start a printmaking project where we will be creating what's called a Collagraph print from shapes that we're going to create on a piece of cardboard. So we've done other types of printmaking before, relief printmaking where you actually carve into styrofoam, but Collagraph printing, you actually add things to build up the surface rather than carving down into it. So we're gonna build the plate today. And the plate is really just a quarter of the total design because we are going to be doing radial printing where we rotate the plate. So you can see that this plate is a quarter of that design. So we'll actually print it 4 times on that paper. And then if you use the other corner, so in this case, this corner is to the center, but this is the same printing plate here, but this time I switched the corners so that this corner remains in the center every time I print. So it actually creates 2 different designs, and we will be doing that, and we'll be adding the paper part tomorrow. So these painted papers we're gonna create tomorrow. Today, we are gonna focus on this part right here. So when you get started, there is a piece of paper that has a template on it, and you're gonna get a piece of cardboard. The first thing you're gonna do is line it up on there, and you are gonna mark all these tick marks. This is a 4.5 inch plate, and each of these marks is 1/2 inch marks. So this is gonna help us with lining up our edges, so when we rotate it, the shapes align, and they make either a complete shape or the 2 shapes together create a new shape. So very important that you add these tick marks on the cardboard. And then the other thing we're gonna do is the line of symmetry. This is gonna be very important because we are making a symmetrical design here, which means these 2 sides have to match. The line of symmetry is gonna go from corner to corner, not side to side. So you're gonna use your ruler and you're gonna line it up so that it is matched with your corners. And you're gonna draw a line right down the middle. That is your line of symmetry. So now that those things are ready, you are going to also want to make sure that your name is on the back, in the middle. And I'd also like you to put your table color. So I'm just gonna call mine the gray table because that's where I'm at. But you have a table color, and that's gonna help me sort these out and pass them back quickly. So make sure your table color is on there as well as your name. So when we add these foam sticker shapes, the very first thing we're gonna do is this row that goes on the line of symmetry. And you can see I made some dots here so you could kind of see where my line of symmetry is. You do not need to do those dots. Just know 1/2 of each shape is on each side of the line. So you have a tray at your table. I'm using a bucket, and then you actually have what I'm gonna call a mini trash can because these foam stickers have the paper that peels off, and that's gotta go somewhere. So I'm gonna start, actually, I think I'm gonna start with this one, and I'm gonna peel off the back paper here. I'm gonna add it to the line. So I'm gonna align it. It actually fits, it's a 1 inch cutout square here, so it fits like that, and then press it on, okay? So that's my first shape up that line. And then maybe I'll add this star shape next. So I'm gonna line that up, and it's gonna go point to point on the line. Now, right now my shapes are touching, and that's great, and that's fine. You can also leave a little space between them, but what you don't want is you don't want one shape going over the other, because then when we roll the ink on, we're gonna have a problem right here. So when you do this, try to make sure, that's actually kind of a perfect fit. I think I'll use that there. Try to make sure that you are not overlapping your shapes. It's fine for them to touch, but not to overlap. All right. Okay, so now that I've done the line of symmetry, my next job is to do the sides. But you have to remember, the line of symmetry is the diagonal. So when you put something here, it's not putting it over here to make it symmetrical. It's here. So keep that in mind. Try to just keep this facing as a diamond. Don't turn it this way because then it gets confusing. If you keep it this way, it's a little bit easier to remember. This is where our tick marks are also really important. So you have 2 options here. Option 1 is probably the easier option, and that is use a pair of scissors, cut a shape in half. And then when you do put the shape on, you have to make sure that the shape is touching one of the tick marks so you know where to put it on the other side, because then when I rotate it, it will make the completed shape because it'll be this side to this side. So make sure you count. So this side I did 1, 2, 3 on the 4th tick mark. So over here I have to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and line that shape up. That way when it rotates, it makes the complete shape. Okay, so that's option 1, is to cut a shape in half. Option 2, I say, is a little bit harder, especially in my case. I don't have a ton of shapes in here, but this looks like a match. So we're not worried about color. Color doesn't matter because when we roll the ink on, that's the only thing that's going to show up. But they do need to be the same size and the same shape. So those two match. So I can use these two, and I'm going to put one over here, kind of angle it into that corner right there so it fits. And then I'm gonna put the other one on the opposite corner over here. And again, I'm gonna kind of line it up so it fits on those sides, like that, okay? So again, make sure you're putting your trash in the trash can as you go with these. So I need one more thing for these sides here. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut this circle in half. I'm trying my best to find the center, the line of symmetry on the shape, because when you cut these in half, you're cutting them on their own line of symmetry. And almost every shape that we have has at least one line of symmetry. Oh, I better make sure I check. I'm gonna put it on that tick mark. But there is one shape that you cannot find a line of symmetry. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2. There we go. All right, so this shape right here, the parallelogram, it does not have a line of symmetry. There is not one single one that will work there. So that actually is not a shape that you want to use for this. It happens to be in the pack, so it's there, but we don't want to use it. So the last thing is we don't want to leave big gaps. So if I can fit my finger between them, then it's probably too big of a space and I need to fill it. So for me, right in here in these center points, I need to fill those. Because when we roll the ink on, if we have big gaps, the ink's gonna go where the shapes aren't, and that's not what we want to happen. So I might be able to use that. If I could find 2 of those, that fits. Or I could use it in half. Oh, here's 2 more of these. It looks like these actually fit. So maybe I'll just go ahead and use these 2 and add them in there. So once you are done with adding your shapes, I'm gonna make sure it touches that point so it'll be easier to line up. Once you're done adding your shapes, your printing plate is complete and you are ready for tomorrow when we paint our background papers.